Well, one-time West Virginia quarterback Nicco Marchiol has found a new home. It was a quiet kind of thing in the portal for him for months, and here we are in mid-March, and Nicco Marchiol has found a new home at Northwestern. We're going to have you covered in this episode of Mountaineer Moment. All things Nicco Marchiol, a salute of sorts to Nicco as he finds a new home. We wish him the best, and a little bit more here on this episode of Mountaineer Moment. Stick around. This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Mountaineer Moment. My name's Troy. This is episode 170 of Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. And we're talking football here for the Mountaineers. Well, kind of for the Mountaineers. A former Mountaineer, Nicco Marchiol, has found a new home at Northwestern. He makes his commitment here in mid-March. It was a quiet transfer. He entered the portal, and then things went quiet for Nicco, at least as far as what we could tell. I did know he was going on that visit to Northwestern, and then not too long after, he's committed. And I'm going to give my initial reaction to that, my thoughts on that, and Nicco as a player. We'll talk about that Northwestern quarterback room because Nicco's not the only quarterback to sign with Northwestern this offseason. And then we'll give a little bit of a salute to Nicco, a little trip down memory lane to end out this episode. But again, Mountaineer Moment, your source for West Virginia football and basketball. We would love for you to join this growing community. Let's make it official, right? If we're kind of dating right now, you're feeling it out right now, well, let's make it official. Hit that subscribe button. That would be greatly appreciated. Whatever platform, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. We're continuing to grow this Mountaineer Moment community, and I'm super grateful for that, and it's because of people like you taking the time to watch or listen and hear my thoughts on West Virginia football and basketball, man. It's an honor. Super grateful, so would love to continue to grow this channel, make this thing official, man. Hit that subscribe button. But yeah, so my initial thoughts on Nicco heading to Northwestern, man, good for him. If I had a 3-word response to this thing and that was the end of the episode, it would be good for him. Good for Nicco, man. I'm happy to see him, get to a Big Ten school in Northwestern, looking to, obviously, I think he would have his sights set on competing for a starting job. We'll talk about that more in just a moment, but I'm happy for him. And like I said, it was kind of quiet. And, I don't know if Northwestern's the only school that he visited. Maybe there's something out there that I don't know. But, there wasn't a whole lot of chatter going on, right? A lot of guys signed or committed out of the portal in January. Here we are in mid-March, and Nicco makes it official, with spring ball and things like that underway. He goes to Northwestern, and I'm happy for him. Obviously, a kid that waited his turn in Morgantown behind Garrett Green, and then we know the story in 2020 in 2025. Obviously, he was the opening day starter at the quarterback position. First year with Rich Rodriguez, there was a rough situation with the offensive line, a lot of injuries. Jaheim White, Jaden Bray. We know the story. And also, if you don't know, if you've been new to Mountaineer Moment, since it's been basketball season, like I've said, maybe you haven't seen it a whole lot. I do cover West Virginia football as well, obviously a lot more throughout the season when football's underway, but felt it necessary here to talk about Nicco and this commitment that he's making to Northwestern. But just so you know, we cover West Virginia football too, if you're new to the program, but yeah, Nicco was the guy. Then he had an injury. He was ruled out for the season. And you felt for him just a lot. But truly, and I meant to save this for toward the end of the episode, truly, Nicco has just been a great representative of the state, of the university, what it looks like to wait your turn, what it looks like to be a man of great character from what we can tell. And, obviously you wish that things would have worked out a little bit better. It would have been more of a storybook ending as a Mountaineer for Nicco because he waited his turn, and then, it was a chaotic season. He had his moments where it was great. You think about the Pitt game and engineering that comeback. Then you have your moments where it wasn't so great, and it wasn't all Nicco's fault. We know that. We covered that months ago throughout the season. You can go back and watch episodes if you want really my take on this team, West Virginia football, throughout the 2025 season. But, man, it's another opportunity. I thought he might go to North Texas with Neil Brown. Obviously, that didn't happen with the quarterback that they were able to pick up. Jaheim White joins Neil Brown at North Texas. But Nicco heading to Northwestern. A little bit about this Northwestern team and what they've got, on their roster and so on and so forth. So this is a Northwestern team that in 2025 finished in the bottom half of the Big Ten standings, 7-6 overall and 4-5 in conference, were the Northwestern Wildcats. As far as anything, they had a close game against Michigan. Good win against UCLA. As far as the big top teams that they played, got blown out by Oregon, lost to Nebraska, lost to USC in blowout fashion as well, and lost to Tulane in their season opener. But in 2026 here, back in early January, Aiden Childs, who is a quarterback transfer from Michigan State, committed to another Big Ten school, committed to Northwestern. And, I read an article today, forget, what source, what outlet it was from, but with Nicco Marchiol signing or, committing to Northwestern, some of that article featured a statement in there that said, he looks to be in the backup role behind Aiden Childs. And man, I don't know. Aiden Childs, in that article too, it said he's been benched in his Michigan State career, and obviously things weren't perfect at Michigan State. He transfers to Northwestern. But something to keep an eye on. Obviously I don't think Nicco went to Northwestern to sit. He's in a quarterback competition, no doubt, right? I guess best case scenario, you could say. Childs a little bit more experience, I believe. 2024 threw for 2,400 yards. 2025 threw for 1,300 yards. Ran for about 220 each season. He appeared in 8 games for Sparty in 2025, and then played in about every game in 2024 when those numbers were a little better. So spent a little time on the bench in 2025, but man, this is going to be a quarterback competition, right? You got a guy coming from Michigan State, one from Michigan State, one from West Virginia, looking to earn that starting job. One signed in early January, one signs in mid-March, but something to keep an eye on for Nicco, and if he gets some starts at Northwestern, what he can do with that. Again, and I'll say, I think it's obvious, my stance on this, my opinion, man, I'm rooting for Nicco to win that job going away and root for him to go shock the world and lead Northwestern to a lot of wins this season. Like, that'd be kind of cool. That'd be amazing. I know that Northwestern has Indiana early on in their schedule on the road, so that's going to be a tough one. They do play at Michigan State, so keep an eye on that one for Childs. If he's playing, that'll be their 6th game of the season. They got to go to Ohio State and Oregon. So look at that. At Indiana, at Oregon, and at Ohio State. It don't get a whole lot tougher than that. So their 3 best teams on their schedule are road games for Northwestern. But yeah, we'll end with just kind of Nicco as a Mountaineer. And again, a guy that did it the right way. Waited his turn, and then there was a coaching change, and he stayed, and he earned that starting job, and I fully believe he earned that starting job in 2025. I fully believe he was bothered by a lingering, foot, leg injury that kept him from being as mobile as he would have liked, and then finally it was time to hang it up for the season, and undergo surgery for that, which, again, you feel for him, but, Nicco's a guy that, despite not starting, a ton for the Mountaineers, he certainly made his impact and forever will be remembered as a guy that went 2-0 against Pitt, right? You remember a couple years back and Garrett Green goes down like first drive of the game, Nicco Marchiol leads the Mountaineers to victory at home in Morgantown, and it was unbelievable. He didn't throw the lights out. I think he threw for like 60 yards in that game, but he ran a lot, showed toughness. You won a low-scoring game. And then in 2025, I mean, how could you forget the game that he had where he led this team to a lead in the first half. Then he gets benched, experimental thing with Scotty Fox at the time. Scotty Fox throws 2 picks. Pitt goes on a run. Nicco leaves the game when he's winning. He comes back into the game and he's trailing by double figures. Then he leads a couple consecutive scoring drives to give the Mountaineers a victory over Pitt in the backyard brawl in overtime. It was an incredible game that he had. Ty Edwards, man, his one game as a Mountaineer, he'll be remembered for that forever. At the running back position, 3 touchdowns, like a $140 on the ground. Great game from him. And that's kind of, those are the 2 things that stick out for Nicco to me. Another one that sticks out, I actually had the privilege, Nicco's a kid from Arizona. I was able to go to the game at Arizona in 2024. Garrett Green was sidelined, I think, with a concussion, if I remember right. And Nicco led us to victory over the Wildcats in Arizona. Played a really great game. He threw an absolute dime on a deep ball to Traylon Ray. You might remember that game at Arizona, man. I was in the stands for that one. It was so cool to see Nicco lead the charge in front of what I'm guessing was a lot of friends and family since he's from that area. So that. I don't know why I didn't lead with that one, man. Obviously, the backyard brawl takes the cake in a lot of our minds, but I wasn't at either of those games. I went to the brawl in the middle at Pitt when we lost, collapsed. We don't want to relive that. Moving on. But my favorite memory, I got to go with the one I was in attendance at Arizona and beating the Wildcats in a good game where Nicco played really, really well. That was so cool to see him do that at home. So, man, thank you, Nicco. From West Virginia fans, if I can speak for all of us, which I wish I did, because I think my opinions are right. We all do. That's why they're opinions. But, man, I think he is a kid that did it the right way. My favorite memories will live on. Like, I'm not going to forget Nicco and his time as a Mountaineer. Thank you for being a Mountaineer, and wish you the absolute best at Northwestern, man. Go tear it up. Go win that starting job. Show them what you're made of, and show them what it looks like to be a Mountaineer through and through. So, again, episode 170 of Mountaineer Moment, talking about Nicco Marchiol and transfer to Northwestern. Best of luck to him. We'll see you next time on Mountaineer Moment. Let's go Mountaineers.